She didn't raise her voice to be heard. She lowered it to be obeyed. Elizabeth Holmes deliberately dropped her vocal pitch by nearly an entire octave, and the moment she did, some of the smartest people in Silicon Valley stopped asking questions. Billionaires listened. Generals nodded. Disbelief was quietly suspended. This is not a story about technology, and it's not even a story about fraud. It's a demonstration of how authority disables intelligence. I'm not here to ask whether she lied. I'm here to show you why almost no one felt allowed to doubt her. Theranos promised something miraculous. Hundreds of laboratory results from a single drop of blood. No complex machines, no waiting rooms, no traditional infrastructure. To medical professionals, this immediately raised red flags. To investors without technical grounding, it produced something far more powerful than understanding: inevitability. When people cannot evaluate feasibility, they stop analyzing and start ranking. They ask a single silent question: does this person feel like someone who would fail? Holmes understood this instinctively. She rarely explained details because details invite scrutiny. Instead, she constructed an atmosphere: calm rooms, controlled language, slow, deliberate speech. Theranos was not just a company. It was a psychological container designed to suppress doubt. Inside that container, questions felt disruptive, even socially inappropriate. Evidence became secondary. Presence became primary. Now listen closely to her voice.
To take ownership of their health and making lab information, which drives 80% of clinical decisions, more accessible.
Not for meaning, but for structure. The pitch is abnormally low, especially given her age and physiology. Flat, compressed, stripped of emotional variation. Psychologically, low-frequency voices are processed as larger, calmer, more authoritative. They signal emotional containment and dominance under pressure. But here is the critical detail. Her voice is situational. In public interviews, investor meetings, and moments of scrutiny, the pitch drops. In casual or private contexts, it rises. That tells us the voice was not identity. It was instrumentation. This is vocal authority modulation. Humans instinctively interpret emotional suppression as control, and control as competence. The audience didn't hear uncertainty because uncertainty had been filtered out at the level of sound. The voice itself became evidence, not because it proved anything, but because it prevented challenge.
Big needles stuck in their arm.
Holmes did not build authority organically. She assembled it from recognizable components. Most notably, she mirrored Steve Jobs, the black turtleneck, the minimalist phrasing, the deliberate pauses that imply depth rather than hesitation. This is known as prestige mirroring. When someone resembles a figure already associated with success, the brain shortcuts evaluation. Skepticism feels unnecessary, even disrespectful. Investors were not assessing Holmes as a standalone individual. They were unconsciously overlaying an archetype. Once that overlay is active, contradictions feel like noise rather than signals. Borrowed authority works because it transfers responsibility. If this feels like Steve Jobs, then doubting it feels like doubting a proven narrative. Now watch your eyes. Sustained eye contact. Minimal blinking. Facial expressions that lag behind conversation. This is not rapport. It's dominance signaling. In both primate behavior and human negotiation research, unbroken eye contact creates asymmetry. One person becomes the evaluator. The other becomes self-aware. Interviewers lean in. They stop interrupting. They fill silence. Holmes does not. Silence under pressure is interpreted as composure. In reality, it is often rehearsed restraint. Stillness forces the other person to move, verbally, emotionally, cognitively. That movement creates imbalance. Discomfort appears, and that discomfort is misread as respect. Power rarely asserts itself loudly. It waits. This was not classic narcissism. Narcissists crave admiration and emotional reaction. Holmes did not. What we see instead is emotional flattening, strategic mimicry, and an absence of visible internal conflict. This aligns more closely with instrumental psychopathy. Not impulsive, not chaotic, but precise and goal-oriented. Everything was optimized for perception control. The deception was not emotional. It was architectural. Theranos functioned as a stage where authority was continuously performed and protected. As long as the performance remained stable, truth became irrelevant. Humans don't require lies to be convincing. They require them to be consistent. Once the first powerful people believed her, the system locked itself. This is called an authority cascade. One respected figure validates another, not through evidence, but through presence. A former general joins the board. A former Secretary of State nods publicly. A billionaire invests quietly. None of this adds proof. It removes permission to doubt. In high-status environments, skepticism carries a social cost. Asking technical questions signals that you might not belong in the room. Silence signals alignment, and alignment is rewarded. After the cascade begins, verification becomes dangerous. The question is no longer, is this real? But why am I the only one who doesn't see it? Humans are exquisitely sensitive to perceived consensus among elites. When high-status individuals appear convinced, doubt feels like a personal defect rather than a rational position. This is how intelligence is overridden by hierarchy. Holmes didn't need to silence critics directly. The environment did it for her. Boards and advisors played a crucial psychological role, not as safeguards, but as shields. Each prestigious name absorbed skepticism. Responsibility diffused. No single person would carry the blame if something went wrong. This is status insulation. When reputation becomes the primary asset, truth becomes negotiable. The lie no longer needs to persuade. It only needs to hold its shape. Early warning signs did exist. Engineers knew. Lab technicians knew. Some partners suspected. But speaking up would have meant challenging not just a founder, but an entire symbolic structure. Holmes had become a node of power, not a person. Attacking her claims felt like attacking the network itself. Networks defend themselves instinctively. Silence became the safest option, not because people were fooled, but because they understood the cost of dissent. This is the final inversion. People assume fraud persists because no one knows. In reality, it persists because too many people know and are waiting for someone else to move first. Waiting feels rational when the person in front of you appears completely unshaken. Holmes did not overpower the system. She synchronized with it. Her certainty mirrored Silicon Valley's obsession with inevitability. Her emotional flatness reflected its fixation on control. Theranos was not an anomaly. It was a perfect cultural artifact. Here is the final observation. Real confidence fluctuates. It breathes. It leaks emotion under pressure. Simulated confidence is rigid, repetitive, over-controlled. When certainty never cracks, it is not strength. It is rehearsal. And rehearsals are not designed to be questioned. They are designed to be believed.